Metropole TVKE across all your social media platforms. I am at Kiage Simba. You can catch us live, and once you're there, you get tweeting and talking back to us. Let's talk about our sector trends this morning. Now, a showdown is looming within the Kenya Tea Development Agency, with the two factions laying claim on the leadership of the company. In an earlier statement, David ICHOHO had announced 12 new directors, saying they were elected on Saturday during an extraordinary general meeting that was held by the shareholders. In the new lineup, ICHOHO was to replace the long-serving chairman, Peter Kanyago. But in close rejoinder, another faction by the KTDA Holdings has dismissed the changes. Now, the statement from the office of the company secretary says that the meeting was not convened by KTDA Holdings PLC. Now, the statement says the public is advised to ignore any pronouncements and declarations by this group, quote-unquote, of people. Now, according to the statement, the KTDA Holdings PLC board has not been reconstituted and remains in office intact. Question being this morning, what is causing the leadership wrangles at KTDA? And now, as the new chair, please clear this confusion. And I'm saying that because we do have the new chair in the studio this morning, David ICHOHO, who's the new chairperson, Kenya Tea Development Agency Limited. Before we cross to him, let's cross over and see exactly where we stand in terms of the performance of that specific industry in the country. Let's cross over and look at the volume of tea export, because we do know 2020 was a good year for Kenya in terms of exports. We recorded the very big figures in terms of exports, as you can see, and now 2021 looks to be a promising year, because you can see the numbers already rocketing up to where we are right now. So hopefully once we close the year, it's going to be bigger numbers as well. Value as well is going to correspond to that as well, and 2020 was a good year for us as well in terms of value. But you actually see that as from 2017, 2018, 2019, there has been an albeit seesaw in terms of the volume that we have been taking out as well in terms of tea exports in the country. Tea auction price trend, we do know it's been hot and cold as well, but as of Q3 of 2020, we did have those prices correcting as well. Good. Let's cross over back into the studio, therefore, and talk to the new chairperson, KTDA. Anybody looking at KTDA would ask you, what is going on?
Good morning, Mr. Steve.
Good morning.
Thank you for inviting me to the Metropole TV.
Yes.
And I want to send my greetings to the viewers out there. First, I want to say that I'm grateful that you have come here to clarify on some issues.
Yes.
One, I want to say that KTDA is a state corporation.
Yes.
Which is land through various management systems.
Yes.
And I would like to say regarding the issue of having another function saying that we are not legitimate. One of the things is that the statement they are issuing actually are usually never signed. Ideally, when a document is never signed, when you talk to them, they say that they are not the one who have issued it when they are asked. So what we have done, if you look with the Registrar of Companies,
yes,
you see what we call CR12,
yes,
which gives the owners of the company. You will be able to see the new directors under my board,
yes,
are listed as the bona fide shareholders.
Yes, let's just be clear. If you ask the team that stepped out of office, they will say that we have not signed that document. We are not the ones who made that communication. Is that what it is?
That is what it is. That's
yes,
what I have done,
yes,
because to ensure there is no confusion. We have written a complaint with authorities.
Yes. Because
the aspect of impersonation. Somebody is saying that I am the group. We are the board of directors.
Yes.
The other issue about that is about using of documents, letterheads belonging to KTDA, when actually you are not there. So we have filed that complaint.
Yes.
And actually, I think once the investigation is done, they'll take action on it. The other issue I want to clarify is that if you come and we welcome you at KTDA
yes,
building, you are going to find that we have a new team. We have done we have already done changes in terms of appointing new CEO. We have already suspended the senior officers.
Yes.
So if you come, you'll see that we have already taken over.
Yes.
And takeover is a process.
Yes.
So we are already going through various stages to ensure we do that change management.
Yes.
What was happening at the organization is actually a sad affair, because these are a group of people who just took over the organization and started running it like individual. It's like a family business.
Yes.
So it's like the KTDA was actually captured by cartels. And that's why the farmer stood up. Remember the president had issued an order saying that we need to cleanse the sector.
Yes.
I want you to agree with me that the sector is very significant because they contribute a lot to the economy of the country. We have 653,000 tea farmers across the country who rely on the proceeds of tea farming to ensure that they have their livelihood. More than that, we have another 6.5 million who are directly linked to the industry. If you look at you have just mentioned the figures of the export.
Yes.
2020, we had about 79 billion shillings coming as the revenue into the sector. So you can see it's a very significant industry. It's not only the one which is surviving in the agriculture sector. You know, we had palm, we had coffee. All of them are facing a lot of challenges. So we don't want to lose the sector. And that's why the shareholders said that we want to make the changes. The changes has been ongoing all the way from March up to date.
Up to date, isn't it? And that's where the conversation point is.
Yes.
And I'm not going to divulge into the court order that actually suspended the president's order as well. We do know that. That's in public domain. So now, question somebody's going to ask you, does the president have the right to interfere with the affairs of KTDA? Because we do know that KTDA is a corporation that runs its private business.
I don't want to deal actually in terms of presidential directives in that.
Or should I ask then, Mr. ICHOHO, that whatever is going on right now, the fact that you're new KTDA chairman now, is this as a result of the president's order? Actually,
the president ordered that, you know, there was a suspension in terms of the court.
Yes.
But what you do, use the company law to ensure that there are articles and order of associations which allow us to ask for extra general meetings, which was done. Only that we had a unison in terms of that it was done nationally. And we used those steps and procedures to ensure that we remove them from the office, and we did in accordance with the law. So we have all gone through the process. And in terms of President issuing the order, he's a concerned citizen because he's also a farmer. And also the people who elect the government have a duty to intervene and help people to ensure that there is continuity. But he does not participate in those elections per se. It's just a policy direction in terms of helping the farmers. And they are supposed to deal with the issue of policy. The government is supposed to deal with the issue of policy in all the sectors. You have seen it's the milk industry, other industry, which are done through the ministry and other organizations.
Pretty much. So I'll go back to that because I just want us to move swiftly from this topic and then really talk about where we are as an industry in the country now in 2021. The outgoing team is saying, despite you using company law, despite you using any other law that may exist within KTDA, that the court is the one that reigns supreme. So until probably that there was a court hearing, it was only until then that then you would proceed to oust that team. Do they have a point?
No, they don't have a point. What there is that this team, they have perfected the art of going to court, trying to drag everybody in the money to ensure that there's no continuity in terms of business continuity. And I don't want to comment on the issues which are in court. On that
pretty much, On
that here, there will be that. But the idea of what they are relying on is actually, it is them who were stopped from continuing their election earlier. And they were doing their own election. I knew there was a lot of fraud and a lot of use of proxy. So theirs was stopped, but now they are using it to say that it's us who are stopped from continuing. I don't want to go into the merit of that because we can have a
separate discussion on that, isn't it?
Yes.
So, pretty much. All right. So now Any other person who's looking outside into KTDA, Mr. ICHOHO, this morning, what will you tell them? Because we see the headlines, we see the tussle. Of course, it is a tussle, despite what we understand about it now. What will you tell them? And what is the feeling of the farmers affiliated to KTDA over what's going on right now?
I want to say that just a small confusion which has been created there in the social media.
It is a small confusion. Is that what we're taking home?
Yeah, it is. Because we already taken over, and I welcome you to KTDA, and you will come and see that we are effecting changes.
Yes.
And this was not a mock exercise. It was not a rehearsal. Farmers were determined to ensure that they take over their business.
Yes.
And continue doing.
Yes.
Some of those people, you ask them, they have been there for the 25 years. I don't know where you are, 25 years, but you could have been crawling a lot of time.
Yes.
So these people have been there, and when you have been in a place for so long, there is tendency for someone to think I own. That's not the position. And those are our grandfathers. So we're asking them, let's stop this war. You have been given an opportunity to serve, and you served for 25 years. That is pretty much allow us to move on in the new dispensation. And the problem is not the board. The board even have been, other than the board, the serious lot is actually within the management. Actually, you may say the board is saying, but actually those issues are coming from senior management who have been beneficially in the corrupt cartel in the system. So I would like you to call those board members and tell them to make a statement through the screen.
Yes.
You never see them. So I know those men, I don't know they have done their part. There could be those issues which they can sort in court or with the DCI. But as far as we are concerned,
yes,
I can tell you the lot is in the system.
Pretty much.
And they are the one who are issuing. There is one person there who has purport to keep on the issuing statement.
Yes.
But when you even ask her through other proxy, he will say that he has proceeded on retirement. But people keep on using the logos and letterhead. So that aspect that we are saying that we don't want people sabotaging the industry, but collect, and we ask the media to actually ignore those kind of
communication, unless it comes from the current board.
Unless they are authenticated,
yes,
and somebody signs, so that we can ask them. Let them not deal with faceless people.
Yes.
Actually, we are dealing with faceless people. This is an era of Twitter and everything. And it's possible to take the logo even yourself and start writing whatever somebody wanted to write.
Yes.
So to us, we are just denouncing them, and we are telling the stakeholders that operations are normal. Mm-hmm. The farmers are in their farms. Factories are running, operations are ongoing. We are doing all the transactions supposed to be done. The tea is going to the foreign market, auction is on.
Yes.
So all these are actually going on pretty well. So the issues of regarding now the other Twitter issue and the other communication, which are not even signed. In leadership and management, any document which is not signed,
it's not official.
It's not official. So let them come and sit down here and talk and tell you what they're talking about.
Pretty much.
So that from there, we can know we are dealing with somebody.
Yes.
We are not dealing with faceless people.
Yes.
Yes.
I know I have to call you back again so we can talk about how we are going to see now KTDA 1. But Mr. ICHOHO, as the new chairman, in just a minute or so,
yes,
what direction do we expect KTDA to move toward? Because the biggest complaint over time has been that the farmer is not getting what they deserve. That has been the bottom line. Are we going to see that change under your leadership now?
Yes. We are going to address the issues. We know what the problem are.
Yes.
First, we must address the system within the system. The issue of human capital.
Yes.
We have some rotten officers within the system. They are also taking advantage of the system, which has a lot of problems. Right from the weighing of tea leaves, from the buying center, all the way going to the factory, farmers are losing, even using 40 machines. You go to the factory, they are not properly accounting for the tea which is processed. They don't have proper in terms of when you are taking all this on transit and everything else. In the auction, there's a problem. So we will first sort out the issue of management. Once we ensure that we have proper people working for us, people who are authentic, people who are professional. We also address our systems to ensure that nobody takes advantage of the system. Sometimes if you go there, there are a lot of silos.
Yes.
What is happening next door, you don't know what is happening. You can be an accountant on this, but you don't understand the process, what is going on. So we are going to address those issues of the system to ensure that we put in place proper management systems, ensure they are accountable, because there's a problem of accountability. We're also going to close all the loopholes, ensure there is no wastage. There's no loophole where people can lose money. We're also going to fix the issues, even talk with the stakeholders to ensure even our auctions.
Yes.
We should ask ourselves, why is it that in Rwanda next door, 1 kilogram is going for $5. Ours in Mombasa here is $2.5. So what is it that they are doing different? When you go to Rwanda, everything, even this pen has a value. What that means is I should always have a reserve value for this pen.
Yes.
When I come to the market. If I don't have a reserve value, it means somebody will just give you anything. If you don't have value for anything, and that's where the problem is.
Yes.
So it should, even when you go to auction to buy a car down here, you're not going to buy a Mercedes with 100,000 unless you're buying a wheel. So it is the same case in terms of the sector. And what we are saying, we want to ensure that that one is done. And probably also ensure that also we create more markets. We are also talking about the aspect of having mechanization.
Yes.
Of pruning, because the cost of plucking is so high.
Yes.
If you do the computation regarding the cost, you actually sympathize with the farmer. But once those things are done and ensure that there is no wastage across in terms of procurement,
yes,
in terms of other collapse dealing, which is already going there. So we ensure if we sort out that problem, one that is done, we are sure that the farmers will be able to get a value for their sweat.
Yes.
Yes.
Pretty much. Yeah. All right, let's cross over therefore and look at those numbers again and get a proper perspective on why they look like they do from the chairman himself. I mean, if you look at exactly where we are in terms of tea exports, 2020 looks like it was a very good year for us. But Mr. ICHOHO, again, if you look at the value then, despite those exports, let's cross over to the value this morning and look at it. 2020 was not the biggest value that we've ever actually got into the country, despite it being the biggest volume. You have to go back to 2017 for you to say, this is when we got the biggest value in terms of the exports that we had. How do we put into perspective those numbers? Because we do know that in 2020, our biggest competitors were affected by the coronavirus pandemic. That's why they were not really able to fill up that market, and our market was the ones that were filling that export market. How do we put those numbers into perspective, where you have the biggest volume but a lesser volume?
Well, I'd like to say that this is depending on market, the issue of market demand, yes, and also in terms of the demand of the tea in the market. Yes. And ideally, they will keep on varying from year to year. Yes. And in terms, sometimes when there is overproduction, it means then there could be lower prices. I see. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Pretty much.
So then when you look again at 2021 again, Richie, if you could jump again to in terms of the volume of exports again, if you look at 2021, do you have the same optimism that come the end of the year then that graph is going to be where it was again in 2020? Because that is the only good news that we can get from the tea industry.
I think this was not fully updated, yes, because yes, currently we have not gone up to the end of 2020, yes, 2021. Yes. We're expecting pretty almost even higher, yes, volumes. Yes. As you get, I can get you the correct figure. Yes. I think as we continue.
Isn't it? Yeah. Let's talk about weather predictability. Was it a bit favorable in 2020 as to why we have those numbers?
Yeah, the weather was good, yes, despite the COVID. Yes. The farmers were not much affected in the community. Yes. So the exercise continued. There was no interruption in terms of other than the issue of curfews, which was interrupting overnight. Mm-hmm. But during the day, they actually played a prone during the day. Yes. So they were not highly affected by that. Which is actually what I wanted to ask you as well, because we've just started 2021 and the western counties again, which we do not also contribute to that, are being affected again by curfews. Do we expect that to factor in terms of the numbers that we're going to get in 2021? Because we do know by 7 p.m. they should be off. Ideally, a farmer get to the farm around 7 yes, or 8 in the morning. Yes. By allowed 2 p.m. they actually taken their produce to the factory. Yes. So ideally that will not significantly affect the area in terms of our production. Yes. That will be better. And in the case because the transporting trucks are actually in the essential sector. I see. So they are transporting food because there's a production. Yes. So they are not affected. They should not be affected by the curfew. Pretty much. For the purpose of transporting. Yes. Yes. Mr. ICHOHO, yes, thank you very much for taking time to speak to us here at Metropole Television. Should I wish you success or do we wait for the court? Now we should wish you success.
I should wish you success, isn't
yes,
it?
yes.
Yeah, I know it's a tough task.
Oh, yeah,
when do we expect for us to start having positive headlines from KTDA?
Already we are having them, and we should.
Is it about the mini bonus that we expect?
Yes, mini bonus. I want to make an announcement.
Yes.
We'll have a mini bonus on in the coming cycle. That will be on 21st.
Yes.
We usually do disbursement. We approved the release of 5 shillings
yes.
for the factories from the eastern side.
Yes.
And 2 shillings from the other side from the western.
Yes.
So should come together with the monthly payments. So that is from July to December.
Yes.
The 6th month. So they'll get 5 shillings for all the kilos delivered during that period.
Pretty much.
So they should expect that in the bank.
Pretty much.
Yes.
I mean, talk about good news when you're just taking over office, isn't it? Now,
yes.
I'll be calling you back again because I got to talk to you about this.
Okay.
We do know that you're coming in when there is the tea regulations of 2020. Because then, Mr. ICHOHO, if you're saying you're going to change it, then you have to make sure that those are the ones that you're going to run under. Guess what? I'll be calling you back to see exactly whether what they suggested in those regulations is actually a possibility, and if indeed somebody has been sitting on it without implementing it. From me, success, man.
Thank you.
All the best.
Okay.
We take a short break here on a business, and once we come back, let's talk about how you might not be paying more for ugali or chapati, but then again, if you ask for a loan, you might pay more once we come back here on the Economic Review.